Welcome to another episode of Bengals and Brews. I am Dale Altman, hopefully with an average connection, joined by Derek Davis, a.k.a. Arrow, with a pristine connection, COVID Travis, and our special guest host, Bengals on the Brain himself, Joe Goodberry. How's everybody doing tonight?
Fantastic. Ready to rock and roll.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
Am I already freezing?
No, you're not.
I got too much COVID in my ear. Sorry.
Dude, don't play with me like that. I'm like, really? Oh, no.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm doing great other than the fact that, I don't know, I got the big C, and it's not chlamydia.
Well, you might have that too, but.
Hey, shut up.
I was going to say, at this point, are you wishing for that or what?
No, I think I'd rather still take COVID over the good old big. It's fun. It's not what I got the shot a little bit ago, and it's kind of just like that, but it's not like a light dosage. It's more of like a here's the real thing, and it's like shit. I was literally laying on my couch editing last night, and I felt my elbow start to tense up randomly, and I'm like, why is this shit hurt? What's going on? And I'm like, oh, my body is aching right now. This is not good.
For a minute, you thought you were my age.
Dude, I felt all the symptoms slowly keep coming, and I'm like, oh, my God, what is happening?
Is this when we list off all of our physical issues right now? My Achilles hurts for no reason.
I love that. But, guys, let you guys know what's going to be helping me through this pathway. And I got to take this off real quick because I got a lovely gift from them as well. Let me rip this off.
He's stripping again, guys. This isn't the first time.
Oh.
God, that was fast, yeah.
That's what
guys,
she says.
right here, Brimminghorn Meadery right there, guys. They give you the pack of all punches. I tell you what, I keep this bottle down here just to remind myself that whenever this comes back, what they say, 6 months, we got them to break the announcement. They actually are working on it. They got the mead coming. We worked hard enough, and we got it. So look here, I'm keeping that bottle here for a reminder that the best thing is still yet to come. It's coming back to us in 6 months, and you can use the promo code Bengal Brew for 15% off on that alcohol when it comes out, guys. 21 or older, please. 2-bottle minimum for the shipment. And honestly, I know Derek gets 45 of the bottles every week. Joe, I know Joe won't admit it here, but he's already bought the whole store. I'm telling you, it's good. It's damn good, all right? And you want to get it.
If you're near the store, they have a hard lemonade right now. Go in there, pick you up a 6-pack of that shit, because I'm telling you, that stuff looked phenomenal.
That looked really good. I saw the can design. Honestly, I don't know what I like more, the actual alcohol in it or the designs on all of the cans.
Yeah.
Or all the cans or bottles, because they're all so like incredibly done. Like you would think that the imagery on this would take hundreds of dollars just to do it for the artwork.
Exactly. And this right here sums everything up perfectly. Hey, Joe, love your talent. That's why we have him on here.
Whatever that talent is.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. Busy season, busy time, though. You know, we got football between my kids and actual real NFL football and college just starting. And then, softball and gymnastics and dance and family life. You know, I did school starting also this week. So I can't wait for that to have some nice days to relax.
Yeah, You got a lot of stuff going on there, Joe. My golly, thanks for taking the time to sit with us and have Dale not have good connection and Arrow just stare at you while he's trying to make a sentence.
Hey, and you and Glenn out there getting punts in too as well. So.
Oh, yeah. We take the kids out, run some routes, and try and keep it fresh once in a while. Actually, we don't do it as often enough. We used to, as kids, constantly. Glenn was my quarterback, man. We always went out and ran routes and just threw the ball around on, whenever we could find time. But now it's like twice a year. And that's what we were doing the one day. We had the kids out. I had to work with my son on a lot of stuff. It's a second year playing. He's behind, and he needs to work. So I give him as many reps as possible.
But shout out your son, because he had a good game the other day. And plus, he's like one of the bigger kids out there now. Like he's had a huge growth spurt in the past year.
Yeah, like 6'7".
Yeah. Not that close yet, right? He is just under 6 foot. Turned 12 this year. He's about 165. But he had a sack and a forced fumble last game. He's a backup. Played about 15 snaps, so that was good for him to get that.
Hey, yeah.
He won't go back up for long, like just starting and performing like that. Like
the team's good, man. They're really good. They had this one kid on there, looks like a 25-year-old grown man and runs a 4.8 and he's 12. And I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. I'm gonna be scouting you in about 10 more years.
Yeah.
Needed the system. I love it.
You're ahead of the game on that kid for the draft.
Advanced reports on that guy.
Yeah.
It's like the one. It's like the bench warmer scene where he pulls out the paper and it just says, "I am 15" with a $20 bill.
Yeah, right.
It's exactly like that.
Let's talk a little Bengals. We did a show last night with some people. Of course, not these two. They're never on their own show. You're probably on as much as them, Joe, to be honest. But we talked a little bit about this. But I'll send it around the horn to you guys. Just roster moves. We'll start with Joe. Any surprising cuts or people that made it or anything that surprised you, really?
To be honest, there were no surprises in terms of who they cut and who stayed on the roster. I think maybe one is last year's 4th-round pick, Tyler Shelvin. But after watching the preseason, it was like, yeah, this guy, he just has not done it. I remember, like, Jake Lisco and I had the Locked On Bengals podcast host. We do a draft sheet every year, and when it was Tyler Shelvin's class, so last year it was we had him as like an undrafted guy. And so it wasn't no real shock that he wasn't able to take that step, to be honest. He just can't move well enough. And watching him in preseason, I thought Dominique Davis outplayed him, number 72. And both are on the practice squad now. They'll have their chances. Shelvin's still a young guy. He'll get a chance to improve and do what he's got to do. But no, I didn't think there was any shocks. The big shocks are the guys going on IR, like Cam Taylor-Britt and Tyson Anderson. And I get it. You need to create roster spaces, right? You need to create moves. And so it just sucks to lose those guys for at least 4 weeks. And because I thought Tyson Anderson played well in preseason. I think Cam Taylor-Britt's going to make an impact when he's healthy and ready to go. We haven't seen him at all in this summer after, core muscle surgery, so a hernia probably. But, no shocks. I guess the biggest shocks were the waiver wires.
Anything before we go to Travis on the punter? Like, I was kind of 50-50 where I could have seen him go either way. But what's your thoughts on the punter? I know that's kind of a big one on Twitter and everywhere.
Yeah, you go with what you know in that case. I thought Huber really wore down towards the end of the year. He didn't have his best game in the Super Bowl. I think that sticks with a lot of people. But I still think he's a great directional punter. And you got to remember, you hold more than you punt. And for this offense, you're definitely going to hold more than you punt. And that's the thing. Like, nobody knows how to evaluate. I have no idea how to evaluate a holder. Does he not drop it? Is it down right? Are the laces out, Dan? And does it go through the fucking uprights? That's about it. So, I don't know. I leave it up to Darren Simmons. Who am I to say, that Drew Chrisman was a better holder than Kevin Huber. So I'll go with it and they went with the veterans. And, hey, both guys who lost those jobs ended up on the practice squad anyway.
Exactly. And don't screw up a good thing.
Right.
Like with McPherson especially, like that whole system. I knew Clark was never going anywhere, obviously. Travis, thoughts?
Honestly, from my opinion on it, I think that for the most part, everything went straightforward for what I thought. But the little bit that I paid attention for preseason and such and through training and all the reports that I've listened to and read, I thought it was pretty straightforward, in my opinion, for what I thought was going to happen. There was a couple kind of eyebrow raisers, but I knew they would just go to the practice squad, so it didn't really matter necessarily to me. Like I told you guys before, I don't really look too much into that because there's some people that were a part of that team this year that I wanted to have a part of that team and weren't a part of the team. And so it kind of hurt a little bit just because I felt a connection, which I've never felt in the years. So that's why I kind of don't do that because I'm like, all right, whoever these guys decide it's a 53-man roster is who we're going to roll with because they get paid big money for it, and I get paid nothing to sit down and watch them and drink beer. So I'm not going to rile myself up while they're getting paid money to do their job, and I believe do their job well enough to where, we're in the Super Bowl last year. So hopefully we could do the same thing.
Hey, there's a million Bengals shows. They're all great. I just want to throw that in with that. Like, hey, if you want to watch Tigers Talk, go watch Tigers Talk, man. You can always catch up on everything on YouTube, podcast form. Consume content how you want, man. No one, it's all good. It's all good. Derek, do you have any big surprises?
No, I mean, just going on what Joe said about the all the guys going to IR. I think what helped that a lot this year was going from 6 to 4 games. So they're able to, maybe sneak a couple extra players that they were hoping, they were afraid would would get cut or go on to another team and stuff like that. So Pryor, Kendrick Pryor. I'm not surprised that he didn't make the 53. I wanted to see him, but there's a lot of talent on this team, man. So just seeing all that, and hey, absolutely, Lisa.
The biggest surprise about Pryor is that he got claimed, to be honest with you.
You think, was that a surprise to you, honestly?
Yeah. Most of these guys, most of these teams, if you watch other preseason games, and you only do that if you're a degenerate or a junkie, and if you watch, right. So if you watch these other, every team seems to have like that sixth wide receiver that you're like, man, this guy can play. It's just a deep position in the league right now. And the Jags are the only team that put a waiver claim in, I believe, on him. And they had a high claim. And it's probably because of Press Taylor and Zach Taylor's connection where he said to him, hey, man, you can play.
Same person.
Right. Exactly. if he said, he could be your sixth receiver right now, fifth receiver right now, yeah, why not put the claim in? It doesn't really hurt the Bengals at all. He would have been on the practice squad anyway. But, so those guys typically make it through waivers. And if they don't, it's usually not a big deal. Those guys don't usually turn into some superstar later.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Oh, sorry, Derek. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say with Pryor, like the Jags, even if he's like decent, they'll probably still release him. We'll have a chance to bring him back at some point because they're the Jags.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just going to say that's one thing I was speaking on. I think when Anthony was on with us, I said, the Matt Williamson guy that covers the Steelers, he was talking about a couple weeks ago about one player that they had on the Steelers, and I'm like, and about how he's an awesome player. I'm like, who the hell is this guy even talking about? Like, and I watched the games, and I just didn't even know who he was. So, like you said, you're going to have a lot of those players, and 95% of the time you can keep all of them.
Yeah. And this is a good point when we were mentioning the punter thing. I mean, the way Evans kicking the ball, we shouldn't have to punt a whole lot. Plus, if you're fourth and short, you go for it. Like, the defense is playing good, all that stuff. We're not – the punter, like, I just keep the consistency, keep what you know, keep the veterans. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think the argument there, if that was what he was saying down below in the comments, was that maybe you want the guy with the big leg because the only time you're going to punt is what? Inside your own 35, inside your own 40. So boom it out of there and flip the field, right? So I get that. But again, you're going to hold more times than you are going to punt. And that's the part we just have no idea about.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Sorry, you go ahead. We can move on. That's fine.
Okay. I was just going to move on to the pickups. I think the biggest thing was depth was the biggest concern to me. Was like, all right, we got a few depth pieces that we need to add. And then when I saw the three that they actually, because we don't claim a lot, it's usually like 1, 2 guys, whatever. It was 3 guys, and all 3 of them, I went, holy crap. I know exactly who all 3 of these guys are, and they're actually solid, decent people. Derek, were you just looking at comments about yourself?
No, I just happened to see my name, and I'm like, oh, geez.
So, Joe, what did you think of
that? Back to
pickups?
reality.
Aussie, oi, 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 number 1. You know, can't forget that. And then we had Max Sharping, guard. Great depth. Like, he was he a second rounder?
He was, yep. The year we took Drew Sample.
Aussie was, I know I'm saying that wrong, but I'm going to just say Aussie.
No, you're right.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi,
constantly. Oi. And then the other guy
Great Tufele.
1 year. Yeah. Once again, Jaguars, back to that. Defensive tackle. And reportedly the Bengals really liked him. And we got Cam Sample, and now we have him too. So
you had I was going to say you had a high grade on Tufele, didn't you, Joe? I feel like
on Sharping I did. Tufele.
Sharping, okay.
Yeah, Tufele I had as a mid-day 3 type pick. A guy that can be a penetrating type 3 tech, maybe help as a pass rusher type of guy. And I think Dale touched on it when the 53, or at least the last 2 weeks of preseason. I'm like, man, I do not like the depth on the O-line. These guys are getting their ass kicked, all these backups. I don't like the depth at tight end. I don't think they had anything there after Drew Sample got hurt, after Mitch Wilcox got hurt. I'm just like, Thad Moss just did not capitalize on
He's not the guy. He's not the guy.
And then
I really wish he was the guy, man. I really had a lot of I don't know if it was just because the Moss thing or if it was just because, the LSU connection and everything, but I had a lot of false hopes with him going into this. I really thought he could have been something.
Yeah, it's like when you're dating, right? And then you're like, oh man, it just wasn't the one. You really had hopes for But
she's a dime, but she's dumb as hell or something
right.
like that.
Dude, I just saw, what's the one girl that we had on there, Gabby? She went to some Pittsburgh event and was like, she's a 10, but she's a Cleveland fan, and all these Pittsburgh people were like 3. The one dude, he's a avid Pittsburgh tailgater. He made I don't know if you guys saw the interaction, or he pretended to be Matthew McConaughey when his book was wrote. And it was really popular for that. But he was on there and he got asked if he's like, honestly, they're full, and then it just starts beeping. He's like, fuck the Cleveland Browns fans, blah blah blah. I was like, holy shit. That just reminded me of that. It was funny. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, back to the
starting
right.
and the depth. So the backup O-linemen are getting their ass kicked. Jackson Carman looks like he shouldn't be on an NFL roster. Even Cordell Volson didn't have a great day. Plus the last game against the Giants. Plus he's a 4th rounder from basically Division II. We've got to secure that backup guard spot somehow. At least I think everyone was probably feeling similarly there. Tight end been ravished, and they really don't have anyone under contract either past this year. So that would have been something to. With Devin Asiasi, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Thank you. He's got 2 years left on his deal, so that helps there too. And then again, I thought they needed another defensive tackle. Those are the 3 positions I would have said right before. I think I did tweet it out that I thought D tackle, tight end, and offensive line depth, and they nailed all 3. And I had a high grade on Max Sharping. I thought he could have been a 1st-round pick. I think you get 2 players from fucked up organizations, and the Texans and the Jags. You kind of roll that dice again and see if you can get better usage out of them and get better production out of those guys. And I do think Max Sharping can be a guy that, man, say La'el Collins back flares up again and they need someone to go out there and tackle. You can put Isaiah Prince out there. You can put Deontay Smith out there. You can put Hakeem Adeniji. It may be Max Sharping who played tackle in college and is a big dude. And Sharping may be your best guy for it with the most experience. If one of the guards goes down, if Cordell Volson doesn't, just run away with the job right away, Max Sharping may be in there at left guard before we know it. So we got a guy that can back up probably all 4 positions in a pinch. That's good depth. That's good value. I'm with it. And then Devin Asiasi is a big power type, tight end that can block, which is what you need when you've got a guy like Hayden Hurst who's really not known for that at all.
Yeah. Now, one question I have with Asiasi, and the rest of the tight ends, do you see them going into week 1 with all 4 of them on the roster, or do you see something else happening between now and then?
Yeah, they still have to get Jesse Bates off that exempt list, and I think when they do, I don't know where Mitch Wilcox is in terms of his injury and coming back, but do you need him on the roster either? Can he make it to practice squad? I think there's a good chance he probably does. So they'll probably carry Bates as long as they have to on that exempt list, and then make the switch if that's what it is. And if Drew Sample's healthy, I think they want to give it the next week and figure all that out.
Drew, my favorite player. Love that guy.
How do you think that? I think this is probably one of the questions that we have lined up at some time. But how do you think that's going to plan out with Bates coming through now, signing and everything? We're about to have the season up here.
Well,
where do you think that's going to flow? What?
What's he doing over there?
He wrote it off.
Checking off the list.
I didn't know if it was on the list or not, but cool. Yeah, just I know last year, the first half of the season, he definitely said that his play was affected because of his contract, because he didn't know. And then the second half, he started to do decent, but the year prior, he didn't have a problem with that. And so this year, having the 1-year contract, more than likely we'll see Bates gone unless Bates thinks we'll pay. How do you think this is going to turn out this year? Is it going to be more contract brain, or do you think he'll be more free and he'll play like he did 2 years ago?
I think there is some freedom in knowing that a deal can't even get done. Like, they can't even negotiate, right, until the season's over. So there's nothing to really worry about. You can't change it. The only thing you can really change is how teams view you once you hit free agency next year. And so, if you play really well, is he going to get paid really well? So there is some pressure on that end of it, but it's kind of like, I think the balance there is you want to be the guy you are without getting hurt, right? Because if you get hurt, there goes your money in a lot of ways. So I think he'll be who he is. Even when he was rough around the edges in the games he was, he's still a what is the word here? Like an apex player on defense, where he changes everything that happens with the guys around him because he is such a good deep range free safety. You can do so much more. You can bring an extra guy in the box with a Von Bell. You can play more with the run. You don't have to worry about your corners getting beat deep because the guy with so much range in the back half that's so smart that even if he's not having a great game, he can have 0 tackles and 0 plays on the ball, and he made a big impact on a game. And like that's the things that, like, you know, if you watch and they won the game, you really don't care about it. You don't think anything about Jesse Bates, but his impact is on there, and you see it on tape. And I think the other guy they have on defense that does that is DJ Reader, because he's just such a good space eater and a guy that demands double teams all the time, that he frees someone else up on that D line and in the linebacker unit. So when you got those guys, I think when all 3 are out there, I think Jesse Bates will walk in as a starter. You know, they'll give him all the load he can handle. And whatever they need to take off of him, Dax Hill looks like he's ready to go. He had a great preseason. I think they're very happy with where he's at right now. And they lined him up everywhere. And we were talking about a guy who had 80 snaps as a deep free safety in college this last year. He needed more reps there. The Bengals split half of his preseason reps as a deep free safety and said, you get your experience. And he made 3 plays on the ball in just the 2 games, like in playing halves only in the first half of both games. Very impressive from him. They also let him come down into the box, play strong safety. They don't play some nickel corner. They don't blitz. They don't play man. Man, he looks like a chess piece. And really what it's going to do for them is I look back at the first preseason game against the Cardinals, first 3rd down, they go out there with 3 safeties, and now it's all backups, right? But they go out there 3 safeties, and Dax Hill goes and lines up in the slot and covers the tight end. And I'm like, that'd be Jesse Bates and Von Bell in the back half. And, man, let's roll. Take Jermaine Pratt off the field, only linebackers Logan Wilson. Let's go. I mean, that just gives you another chess piece. This defense looks like it's ready to go.
Well, the way Mike Hilton can blitz, Dax Hill, they're good blitzers. Like
that,
you have so many different options. I'm like, the mad scientist, Lou Anarumo, has to just be like smiling every day thinking of what he can do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And now I know Bates had said something about, you know, he's going to take into account, like, he wants to have a good quarterback with him. And I know, what would you say the chances are of him making it into 2023?
Low, 15%, like if we want to put a percentage on it. And that's because, let's say he doesn't have a great year, right? That's not good for the Bengals. It's not good for Jesse Bates, right? But it also puts him in the range of maybe the franchise tag isn't the worst thing again for him, where the Bengals tag him again. Maybe it's in the range of the Bengals, what they're offering is up his alley for what he would get, or the best offer he'd probably get out there. If he has a good year, then I think he's just straight up gone. Or the Bengals. Yeah. Actually, what if he does have a tremendous year, right? And the Bengals are like, screw it, put the tag on him again, because it's not going to be that much. Again, that's a safety position. The top guys are making $17 million a year. You have to pay, I think, 120% of the top 5 guys in the league. It would still
be 17
to 18 and 18 and a half, which, okay, for 1 year, that's fine. And they're offered guaranteed last year per reports that 17 million guaranteed. Okay, you're going to do that again. You're going to guarantee 17, 18 million dollars on a tag. Do it. And so, like, there is a chance they tag him twice. Because it's not an expensive position.
I couldn't imagine he actually gives up next year if this happens again, where the franchise tag is put over his head after, like you said, a tremendous year. He plays like 2 years ago. Like, we're like, okay, he is the best safety in the league. We had all those feelings.
Yeah. You'd be talking like a Dak Prescott kind of thing where, you know.
Yeah, this year we got, and I don't want to say we got lucky, but it worked out smoothly at the end with him coming in and everything, you know, playing well. If we go next year where we're trying to get him on a tag again, I think that would be just a fire, and it would really set fire in the locker room, fire on the relationship and everything else. I don't think if he wants to come in and we're not going to pay him, we need to let him go.
Right, or get a drive pick for him. That's why you may tag him, right?
Exactly.
And
tag and trade.
Yeah, and just see what you can get, even if it's a second rounder or a third rounder. This year is better than a third round compensatory pick, and that only happens if you don't sign any free agents yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And now,
I think he will have a spectacular year this year. I think he's going to play more smoothly, and it's going to be it'll be really a nice treat, especially with Dax back there as well.
Yeah. Now, I have one more question on the Jesse Bates, Dax Hill situation, and then we'll kind of move on. But one of the thoughts that I had was, and watching some of the tape of Dax, did you see much difference from what Dax Hill played in the short time that we saw him in the preseason, and Jesse Bates throughout the season. Now in the playoffs, he was elite, like wonderful. But during the season, would there be much of a drop off going into next year in your eyes from what we've seen so far? What's your thoughts on that?
It probably wouldn't be a tangible drop off in terms of, will it result in a win or a loss? Probably not. Would it result in a few third downs that you don't get stops on? Yeah, maybe. But overall, will it affect the game? Probably not in such a way that would hold a lot of weight. We're talking about a first round rookie that played pretty well from what we saw in the limited time he played in preseason. But if he carried that into the year, yeah, he'd be a good starting safety like right away with elites. Range and coverage ability and versatility, like that's valuable. That's extremely valuable. So we're talking minuscule difference, but the idea of having three guys at safety that really make a difference. The idea of having Bates and Dax Hill that can, oh my God, you could cover the whole back half with those guys. With that athleticism and range that they offer and versatility, that would be nuts. The big difference I saw was, and it's because he's a rookie, it's only 2 games. This may change by week 14, by the end of the regular season. Dax was just not as anticipatory and quick to react in knowing, the different route combinations and what's attacking him and what leverage is trying to get him out of position. And that's to be expected. And he still made up for it because he's a freak athlete, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, if he ever gets that mental part down that Jesse Bates definitely has, then he's going to be a tremendous safety.
Did you have him or Kyle Hamilton higher on your draft board?
Hamilton higher, but one spot actually. So
really?
different types of players. If it would be dependent exactly on what you wanted. I think Kyle Hamilton's going to be a box type safety that's almost like a linebacker.
Jamal Adams type.
Yeah, play the curl hook, to the flat type stuff, and maybe do a little bit of man coverage. We saw in that one training camp video that went around Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, where that little slot receiver just did him in and ended up with like 8 yards of separation. That is not how he's going to win. He's going to be a good player, but if the Bengals want to split out the entire, go 5 wide, and Kyle Hamilton walks out with Chris Evans or walks out with Tyler Boyd, you're throwing it to those guys because you can't cover them, and that's fine. He's going to be a good player. But Dax Hill walks out with them, it's even match. Let's go.
Yep.
We got a question here from Haas actually on this on CTV. What's a real time frame on a return? If you could guess on what we got Bengals of Bourbon. Matt said after he talked to CTV, he's ready. Sound like he could play now, but they're just playing it safe. What do you think on that, Joe?
Yeah, because he missed a lot of camp in preseason. So even if he was ready now, you still want to slowly bring him through and get him up to speed and then get him up to practice time. I bet we don't see him for 6 weeks or so, and then maybe not even see huge time for 7-8 weeks halfway through the year, just because you don't put corners out there that you don't trust. And they like him, but you've got to see him do it, and you got to see him do it in practice.
Yeah, I know. And from everything I've heard, like, they are in love with how Mike Hilton and Eli Apple and all those guys have been playing into camp this year. So that'll definitely be exciting to see. Let's circle back to the offensive line a little bit. I know you did your kind of breakdown of Cordell Volson, and I saw you open it up with the Mr. Rogers neighborhood, looking at the book and everything. I love that.
The notebook down there. That's the Senior Bowl notebook down there. They give
is that what it was?
Yeah, you guys should go to you guys should do Bengals and Brews at the Senior Bowl. Actually, it's a really big drinking week, like hardcore. Like if you seriously, like you can drink with like coaches and scouts and agents, and it's wild. You guys.
I'll tell you what. We won't pay you, but we'll send you down there.
That I'll be a correspondent for you guys. I wonder if I have actually Chuma Adoga. I got some notes on him.
Out of that, Derek, I'm gonna go with them. What are you talking about?
Hey, we'll send you down there for free too, Travis.
The year I got this notebook, actually, I've got Jermaine Pratt and Rennell Wren notes on here. So 2 guys there. That also, I want to say this was the year. Was this the Max Sharping year? But Chuma Adoga was on there. He was just released also. So I got some interesting notes on guys that.
That was the year you went down with John, right?
I did go. I went 2 years with John. So I don't remember. It doesn't have a year in here, and my brain is mush sometimes. So I don't.
John's here
exactly.
in the Cincinnati Jungle.
That's right. Yeah, great dude. And funny story about that is we went down the first year, And we're like, let's just get this this cheap hotel, right? We'll just split it. We'll just go down and then hang out. And this first time, really, John and I have hung out other than training camp in Cincinnati. So we go down, and it's the hotel is shit, right? Complete crap. And we're like, at the end of the week, we go, we are never staying in this hotel again. If we do this again next year, we are not staying in a hotel like this. We'll just spend an extra whatever it is a night. So the next following year, he's like, "You want to do it again?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's split this." I said, "How about this hotel? We shoot some back and forth." We were like, "All right, how about this one here? This one I've never heard of this one. It's in like a similar spot that we were last time, but it looks like it was just put up or something, so it should be in good shape. Let's go to that one." So we go. We follow the directions. We're at the airport. We follow the directions as we're driving in. We pull in, and we're like, "This is the same fucking hotel the new name." Same exact hotel. We look at each other like, what the fuck? Same beds, everything.
Oh, that kind of similar thing happened to me one time. We went to Gatlinburg and we were like, looking at the pictures, you see a discounted hotel deal. We were looking at the photos and everything. We're like, man,
hold on. Am I cutting in and out?
No, you're good. You're good.
I was going to say, great. Your story probably sucks. No one cares.
No, I was just going to say, long story short, we get there. Nothing like the pictures. The pictures was the renovated version of it, and then where we was at was the parts that they hadn't renovated yet. But what I was going to say on the offensive line with Volson, do you see him holding that job, and then with Carmen and then Sharping, could you see those guys kind of keeping their one foot in the door and like just trying to make their way to that starting five?
Almost a rotation. Is that?
Yeah, and they kind of did that, right? Last year at right guard, they would go with Carmen, and then they'd pull him out at halftime, put Adeniji in there, and then they'd go with Adeniji next week, and then pull him and put Carmen out there. It wasn't really until the playoffs and right before the Super Bowl where it was like just Adeniji, and they're just, where's Carmen? Where in the world is Jackson Carmen? And yeah, Carmen San Diego, I see you over there.
Where in the world is Jackson Carmen?
Exactly. You're quick on this. Anyways, because where the fuck was he, man? That's a second round pick, and we needed a guard to make a block.
He was my surprise cut guess, by the way.
You really chopped that one up there. How many beers are you in, Dale?
That's a good question.
Anyway, do I think Volson will just like run away with it or keep it? I think he's got a good shot. You know what the big thing is I think they feel he's the guy that'll make the improvement out of him and Carmen, right? Like he's the guy with like the mental and character makeup of a guy who's going to put in the work when they ask, change this, do that. But man, we're talking about a guy from a small school that's a little bit older of a prospect that didn't look great in pass protection, even in college, and didn't have a lot of true pass set type situations where he's got to drop back for 5-7 step drops for, when his quarterback goes back there. And he's inexperienced in that. He's really experienced in the run game. Is he a good enough athlete to continue to be the blocker he was at North Dakota, where he's getting up to the second level and just racing guys the way he was? I'm excited to find out. He's a 4th round pick. So here's the thing about all the years I've watched the rookies play, and especially offensive line. If they're good, they're probably going to be good right away. Like you'll know. We'll know in September if Cordell Volson's going to be good. And if he's not, then it's a long season and it's a long hole at left guard unless they want to go to a Max Sharping, who is not great, but you may be more steady at this point. Definitely steadier than what we should expect out of Jackson Carmen. And we can hope that Carmen takes a step or gets serious or whatever the case may be with him. But sometimes it's a situation like Clint Bowling, where Bowling was a 4th round pick, wasn't very good as a rookie. And then, year 2, it's like he's the starter. He's taken the next step. He's stronger. He's bigger. He knows what he's doing. And he held that job for a long time. Was a very good to solid player at left guard for a lot of years, and really was the best offensive line the Bengals have had in a long time there with that 2015 version. And again, so who knows with Volson, but I think we'll know pretty early how his rookie season is going to go.
We'll probably know week 1.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cam Hayward.
Yeah. I was going to say, is he Cam Hayward, or will he be up against
I'm sure they'll put Cam Hayward right over him.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they should. So week 1, I was debating there. Do we stick to the line? Did you guys talk about line chemistry yet?
Lion chemistry? Like I know the female
offensive lines.
and-
Offensive lines, Joe.
oh,
You guys talk about the one thing, yeah, the fucking jeez.
Hey, listen,
Bruce
you
the
was
Bengals.
giving me shit
Lions
from
and
my
Bruce.
gated community last night, so.
I'm not even going to go there.
Offensive line chemistry.
Chemistry.
Do you see that as a problem, or
Do they
really?
love each other yet?
Right. You know what? They showed one video the other day, and it was Karras, Kappa, and Collins just working underneath that, like that canopy where they got to stay low out of their stance, right? And their footwork was like in sync to a T.
Oh, yeah.
Like I even slowed it down to watch it and to see how quickly their hands and feet move at the same time. And I was like, huh, that looked good. Looked like they've been practicing a lot together. And yeah, we haven't seen it in games, but they've actually been like practicing obviously in camp, and they were ready and all fully healthy for that Rams week of a couple practices. Yeah, I think there'll be some rust. There'll be some issues they'll have to hammer out and figure it out. But I also think they pretty much solidified that O-line a week, maybe 2 weeks ago since the Giants week, right? And at that point, when they put Volson in there, that was it. We know who the 5 starters were. It was no shock when they said Volson was a starter. They rested him the last week with all the starters. I think they've built some chemistry. It's a very important part to offensive line play, but it can be overrated.
Hosh, you meant ass eater, but it's okay. We got you.
James, have fun in Charlotte, brother.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say with that, I don't know if you saw the video. Was it today? I think it was, where you could see the line, like Joe was talking about. The first group, everything was in sync. The second group, it starts to get a little shakier. The third group comes in there, and it's just like whatever. I mean.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think they'll be fine personally because they're veterans and they've mixed in and out for years. So I'm not worried about that. Those guys haven't been out there necessarily together. I think that but Bolson's been playing with Jonah and Karras a lot more and got a lot of those snaps in practice. It was more Kappa was out early and then Collins was out for a while, but those are your more veteran guys also.
Yeah. You know what, though? We may have, over the course of excitement and knowing what the Bengals put out there in that Super Bowl game, the quality of offensive linemen out there. They got 4 new starters now, right? It's just Jonah Williams and from left guard to right tackle, all new starters, whether it's through the draft or free agency. That's a good thing, and we'll take that because we know that represents an improvement in some way. But we have probably gone a little overboard with overrating maybe Kappa, Karras. I don't think Collins. I think Collins is really good right tackle and probably top 5 right tackle, but as long as he's healthy. Kappa is probably a solid starting guard, a Clint Bowling type of solid starting guard. And Ted Karras is like a little bit over a Trey Hopkins, what Hopkins was when he was healthy, which was a fine starter. We'll take that every time. A guy that's probably between like 12 and 20 on the list of starting centers in the league. So is that enough to get you this offensive line over the hump? The guys on The Athletic will say no donkeys, right? You just can't have that weak hole. You can't have that Russell Bodine. You can't have that Eric Guychek or whoever it is at any time. The Andre Smith, the Nate Livings. Andre Smith was good for most of it, but there was a time.
Oh, man. The pain you're bringing back up, Joe.
The Bobby Harts.
Oh, no,
the Alex Redmonds.
Hey,
the Billy
that's
Prices.
Your brother's problem now. That's your brother's problem. He made the roster with the
Listen,
Bills.
they got a good O-line coach. Guys know how much I've talked about Bobby Hart.
Yeah.
He actually looked different. He actually looked like he fits in very well with that scheme. So we'll see. He doesn't have to start, so we'll see what happens to him. Honestly, it's not bad depth. We would take a guy like that probably. Anyways, there's a lot of donkeys that have been on this offensive line. The worst guy now is probably Volson, but that's an unknown, right? We're hoping that maybe what if he is good? If he's good, this is an average to better, maybe veering on the top 12-ish type of O-line. If everyone's healthy and Volson's good. Plus, I think there's a step for Jonah Williams still. And if that's right,
1,000%.
And if that's the case, whoa, now we're talking potentially top 10 O-line. That would take everything hitting right. And we know everything doesn't normally land on tails. Sometimes you get a heads in there, and we'll have to see how it goes from there.
Yeah, if we could go a year without TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, all these guys getting a single sack in a game,
Cam
We're
Hayward.
talking Cam Hayward. Like that would be phenomenal.
Or let's not go back to the playoffs. Sorry,
I think
Travis.
phenomenal is kind of a undersell on that one. You're top defensive lineman in the league, and you're saying as long as they don't get a sack, that's okay.
If those guys don't get a sack in the AFC games that the Bengals play, the division AFC North games, what is their record in this division?
15-2.
In the division, they only play 6
Oh,
games.
in the division. Sorry.
Slow down.
All of them. They went all of them.
We want it. I want it all.
Joe is so fast. Jesus Christ, get it together.
That's because he's not as drunk as the rest of us.
No, I didn't even say. I've got coffee liqueur made in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What are
I
we
got
drinking?
some.
What's everybody
Drop of
drinking?
alcohol. I'm sober as a gopher right
Jesus.
now.
We
We're
fucked
41
up on that
minutes
one.
in, and the first time we talk about
We
what are we
fucked
drinking
up on that one,
is
boys.
41 minutes later.
In a San Diego Zoo cup, because that's what you do when you are fancy.
Yeah.
You get souvenir cups and you drink out of them. Because honestly, what are you doing with all the souvenir cups at the
So
top shelf?
coffee liqueur.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
I like an
I'm
afternoon
a
coffee.
little jealous right now.
I'm getting thirsty, boys. You can't do this.
Travis, what are you drinking on?
Water.
Water.
The second water is almost gone.
Pedialyte.
I need hydration, Derek.
Oh,
But we
man.
kind of mentioned Cam Hayward with the Volson stuff. So week one, what's the expectations? I feel like we can't overlook the Steelers. But Joe, what do you think? Like, what's maybe a big matchup that's not being
Hold
talked
on.
about yet?
I don't
Things like that.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Dale, but I think that Joe actually had a really good question with that. If our line can hold up on the pretty fierce defenses that we play against in our division, we already think that we're going to take our division as it is in a whole.
So
We always have problems with our division every year, like we lose to the Browns every year for some fucking reason. So if we hold, say we hold Miles and TJ and then for one sack in the game, like maybe just one, because our line hasn't been known for doing stuff like that. Where are we at? You know, like how well are we going to be as a team if we can hold those defensive lines? Which outside of them, the only person that's going to be a problem is if we go back to the Super Bowl and we play Aaron Donald, because nobody else competes with the guys in our division. You know,
You could have a top 10 line, you're not blocking Donald. So it doesn't really
exactly.
matter.
So when I had a dinner bet with my dad, and I was going through the game week by week or whatever, and I had us sweeping the Browns, sweeping the Steelers, and splitting with the Ravens, which honestly, looking at the schedule and everything, I think we get Deshaun
So that's similar
Watson.
to here. So at least five division, 5-1. So you're saying 5-1 in the division.
Yeah. I think we get Deshaun Watson like what is it, the first week or the second week he gets back.
Second.
You could, granted, like yes, top 5, top 6 talent, whatever you want to say, top 10 talent. But he's going to be rusty. He hasn't played in a
Rusty
year and a
trombone.
half. Rusty. Hey, Rusty Court.
Shout out Rusty
There it
Court.
is.
Thanks, Derek. About this shirt.
I don't think they want to be
We got it in
associated
somehow.
here.
We got that in somehow. I don't know.
What
how
a
we were
mixture
able-
right there. Hell yeah, dude.
Man. But yeah, I see us going at least 5-1.
Whenever
in
you
the
think of
division.
Rusty Watson, you think of Rusty Core. Nice. Thanks, Derek.
Thanks.
Now I'm like, let me be the promoter for that. No, let's Rusty Court. They have great beer, great wine, great variety of things down here in Portsmouth, Ohio. In and out, friendly service.
Rusty
They
Corn.
They said Deshaun Watson was a piece of shit. So good job, Rusty
Cork.
Cork.
Oh,
Cork.
Is it
Like a
Cork or
bottle.
corn?
Like this right here.
A big
Cork.
lump of
Like that.
He has the juice. He has the juice.
So week one, back to week one. What do we expect week one?
Oh, you got to put that right into the mic. Hang on. You guys
Oh,
got
that's
that?
beautiful.
I think I can get a better one. Hang on.
We need to clip that.
That reminds me of the ICP and
Hang on, let's
the
hear
one
it.
song. Do you hear that slut? That was me pulling this.
Oh,
Oh, man. Beautiful.
no, I
Beautiful.
can't get it. I can't get it.
Dale is quoting
you're
ICP
killing me,
as it is opening up bottles.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like,
Here, you want
You
to
hear-
come say hi real
you
quick?
hear that
He wants
slut?
to come say hi real quick.
Oh, well, now you're gonna bring your kid on.
Ugh.
Hi, Declan. It's terrible timing,
All right.
but hi.
All right,
he can't hear you. Anyway,
week one, the comparison on our O-line versus their D-line, where do you think the stance is going to be on that with, Volson and everybody going up? We don't know what we're going to get out of them. If we could get something well or not, if they're going to be going up against, who was it? Who do we think he's going up against?
Mitch Trubisky.
Yes, thank you. How do you think he's going to hold up against Trubisky?
That'd be interesting. I think he'd handle Trubisky pretty well, actually. But no, Cam Hayward's going to have his way. He's one of the top 5 defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen in the league, I think, still. It's a good thing they don't have Stephon Tuitt anymore, who had to retire. Sucks for him, but injuries piled up for him. But what a good player and good combination they had for a long time inside. Steelers are still going to be good on defense, I think. They're still going to be physical and tough. It's just the way the camp reports you hear from them about how, like, everything they're doing is hitting, tackling, being physical, being aggressive, right? And it's because they kind of have to be. If they're not going to be, and you're starting either a rookie quarterback or Mitch Trubisky with a bad O-line, again, this O-line is real bad for the Steelers, and they barely made any additions to it.
Yeah.
Najee Harris has a bum foot right now. We don't know how that's going to affect him at all. They're going to have to try and win with defense again. And they got good receivers, so we'll see if they can make a splash play or two on the outside. We know how that goes. If you have good receivers, you can, bust one open at any time, and they can. I just think the Bengals are really outclassing the Steelers in a lot of ways. And it starts because I start with quarterback, as everyone should. If you've got the quarterback advantage, you've got a huge advantage on Sundays. And I'm expecting it to be fun and a good game, and a game I wish I was going to.
Yeah.
I wish you were too. I want to hug you so hard. I want to hug you so hard.
That's like
I think after all this is done, we should get an apartment together, Ron.
That's Najee. He was like, "Yeah, I just got a little Liz Frank." Like, how do you have?
A little bit.
It's like Rodney Carrington said, you can't have a little cancer. How do you have a little Liz Frank injury?
You can't. So it's going to bother him.
Yeah.
All right, you got a season prediction? Did we get one from you and the 12 other times we had you on, because you're like one of our favorite guests?
Yeah, I've got a prediction. You guys are going to become the number 3 Bengals podcast in the land.
I was going to say, Derek threw out a shot yesterday, like, we're coming for that number 1 spot locked on. And I'm like,
sorry.
Derek, what are you doing?
Jake cracks me up. He was like,
I don't even know who number 2 would be. I don't know why I picked 3 out of that. But
no, hey, listen.
Is yours in podcast form, Bengals?
No.
Because
that's a show.
Because you're doing the breakdown videos.
I can name right off the top of my head like 5 is better than the shit that we put out. But
I could name probably 100, but let's not shit on ourselves too hard, boys.
Jesus Christ, guys!
No, you guys have made tremendous progress. You should be very proud.
Oh, we definitely are. We love what we do. We only make fun of us because if we make fun of us, no one else can, right?
Oh, no, they still do. Yeah.
But if you laugh with it, then
then it just makes you feel better, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So
they're not laughing at you if you're laughing too, right?
One last one before we let Joe off here, because the man has kids in 4,800 sports. We heard that earlier, like 4,800 plus he works a full-time job, people.
I do that.
Plus he has Bengals on the brain and is killing that.
Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Although it's YouTube, so you can watch it anytime. That seems to confuse some people, but yeah, you can watch it anytime, guys. Wake up in the morning.
Subscribe to him. Subscribe to us. Subscribe to
get your coffee.
Subscribe to everybody. Subscribe.
Watch
to
your shows.
Yeah, subscribe. It's all good.
And next week's show, since we don't have a game, by the way, if I can take another second here. I'm not going to review any tape. I'm just going to go on and answer questions that people. We're actually going to have people that can call in and talk like it's a radio show.
What's your phone number?
Oh, I don't. They gave it to me. It's a 513 number, like it's actually in Cincinnati. I'm not going to be there, but the producers will.
No, I was going to see if you give out your phone number.
Oh, my number? No.
Well, I was just going to assume I'm already blocked, so I'm not going to get through. But the rest of you guys might have a chance,
Yeah.
No, I don't block them. I just ignore the DMs.
Where can we find this on YouTube?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to send my little penis so many times over and over.
Is that what that was? I thought that was a mushroom. I thought you were growing things.
I thought that was a thumbtack.
I wish it was growing. It's still saying the same size.
I don't know if this is a myth, but they say your nose, ears, hands, and always grows.
Gravity.
That's why you see these old men with these honkers and, they're carrying, man.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
grandpa is packing.
Guys are trying to get the digits over here in the chat. But my question before we kind of wrap it up, the breakout candidate, last one, marking it off the list. We did it. We got them all, boys. I never
Look
take
at us.
notes.
Look how professional we are, boys.
Cincinnati Bengals talk, Travis, on YouTube. So exactly like that. Cincinnati Bengals talk on YouTube. It's James Rapine.
With that one guy who thinks he has big muscles and everything else. James Rapine.
Hey, Joe, maybe you could put in a good word and have James on. Sorry.
James never come on?
No,
he's always – for some reason, he's always busy. I don't know why, but he acts like he's super busy. I mean –
he is busy. He does do a lot. This man's got income coming from like 5 different places, so I get it. But he likes to drink and he likes to talk sports, so I don't know why he wouldn't be on here.
Well, I think it has something to do with
a good word.
Fridays
That's all we can
and
ask.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Travis, you wanted to say something?
Oh, Joe, I just gave you a nice subscribe. So
Thank you, Travis.
I took my time to type on my phone the little bit of energy that I have, that stuff, and then I saw them, and I was like, okay, I'm not seeing his face, and then there you came, and I was like, subscribe.
Listen, I know we're all busy. Like, you don't even have to watch it. Just click on it and then exit out of there. Like, just give me the one view and then get out.
Give him the click.
What does that bother you? Just click the button.
Yeah,
give it a
subscribe.
like.
Subscribe. It's free.
Comment a one emoji. Just you don't even have to make it. You can put the dick emoji if you want. Just comment one.
Listen.
Who day? Get out of there.
Nobody cares whether you watch this or not. It's all about the likes, the subscribes.
Right.
That's it.
We're all tricking the computer and the algorithm together. We're all against the man. It's a big internet out there that's really holding back our money on this stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you support that, you should subscribe to all the shows.
Right.
You tell
there
them.
You go.
You tell
Any
them.
breakout candidates, though? I think I've asked it 4 times.
What would constitute a breakout? Who broke out last year?
Trey Henderson in a way.
Yeah, I think he might have surpassed expectations.
Did Jonah Williams break out last year?
I don't think so.
I think his breakout year is this year.
I think that could be fair. Yeah, I think that could be real fair. I think Joe Mixon had his best year last year. Was it a breakout?
BJ Hill, Logan Wilson. Those are a couple.
I would agree on those.
Awuzie. We made it to the Super Bowl. We had a lot of guys that really played their best ball.
You're right. And that's an underrated key, right? Is guys going to have to land on tails a few times, right? And we're going to have to get that. And if we do, what's going on?
Knock my camera off.
I'm like, he's not even at the house, and he's about to knock the table over for the 3rd time, Travis.
He's out at the cabin? Where are you at?
I told Sarah, I said, what are you drinking? She's even getting in on the fun here.
He might get laid tonight, boys.
CJ Uzama had his good career year as well.
Oh, man.
Do you have one, Joe? We'll just say their best season that we haven't seen.
Yeah, right.
This time.
Jonah is a very good shout. You know who's going to be the breakout, though? I'm going to go with it. It's going to be Chris Evans. And not as like a superstar breakout, but as like a damn, this guy helps this offense and as a kick returner as well. I think he's going to break at least one kick return for a touchdown, and then just be a guy that like here he is out on the field. We're not really missing anything because really, what is Samaje P. Ryan really bringing to the table? So when it's Evans out there, when it's Mixon, I feel like they could do something, and that'll be exciting.
Great answer. Way to bring it home.
Think so.
Derek, what? You flexed your gold watch on the camera.
He did. Damn. Shiny.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to hurt everybody. No, I was asking,
Travis, we don't make any money off this show. Is Derek somehow making money?
Now I understand that my pockets are empty, and I'm just getting like barely anything from anybody now. That's why Derek's getting all the meat and everything.
He's on vacation. He's got some nice bourbon, big gold watch on.
He's got the dip in.
No, I wanted to ask you, who comes out for wide receiver 4? Do you think Chris Evans does?
Good question. I think it definitely could be Chris Evans. They didn't do it too much last year. And when it was, remember it was Auden Tate to begin, and then he ended up on IR. And then they were like, okay, Stanley Morgan can do some of it. And it was mostly on run plays and things like that to try and create an advantage. I don't know if they'll do it that much this year. I don't know if I think they'll just go with a 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 running back, and split out Evans and split out Mixon and go with that and split out Hayden Hurst and go empty that way. So yeah, I do think it will be. I think when they didn't draft a receiver or couldn't, I say, because it's not always a decision who you can draft because guys get taken before you. I'm sure they'd like to take a tight end at some point, but I always thought they'd take like
Ravens took 12 of them again.
Yeah, they did. And I was going to say, when the draft concluded, I'm like, maybe it's Evans as that 4th guy. Maybe Evans is going to get more playing time and be able to run more routes. And then the way they cut all these receivers to get, like they didn't care if those guys got claimed. I thought again, maybe Evans is going to play more wide receiver, and we'll see. Trent Taylor was a guy though that a lot of people liked at his last 2 stops, and they thought, every time they thought he could do something, he got hurt. So maybe there is a path for him to play a little bit more.
I like that because I think Trent Taylor, he looks so good in the preseason. He's a solid punt returner.
Crisp. Wow. Crisp on his cuts and stuff like that with his routes.
And good hands. That 4th down, against the Giants where he caught diving out of bounds.
Fantastic. All right. Travis, you usually end it. Do you have the energy to Nope. All right. So Joe, tell everybody once again.
Dale, take a breather. I got it. You wanted me to do it. I got it. Don't you worry. Don't you worry your sweet little heart there. Joe, why don't you inform everybody where they can find you? It's not like they don't already know where they can find you, but I know where I can find you on YouTube. So please elaborate to everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube. Type that in. You'll get a bunch of stuff. I do 1 show a week, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. It's called Bengals on the Brain with some guy named Joe Goodberry, and that's me. And what is beeping in my ears? Is that like, are you guys trying to tell me my time's up? Is this like the Oscars or something?
Oh, sorry. My phone just started getting texts. Sorry.
It's Travis's buddy from Friday Night Lights or whatever, or Blue Mountain State.
And on Twitter at Joe Goodberry, where I will talk a lot of shit and do a lot of stuff and rile up some opposing fans as the season starts.
Oh, I love that. And thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Yes.
Shout out, Joe.
You're able to find an hour for us. We appreciate that greatly, man. Listen, guys, like, review, subscribe on all platforms. Make sure that you guys are sharing our shit, pushing it out to the more people that are Cincinnati Bengals fans that would love to listen to this and kick back and relax. Football season is right around the corner, and we got a bunch of really cool shit coming on your guys' way. And we're excited to get to it. I mean, next week we got first game going up. We got 9 days today, 9 days, and it's big time. So it's going to be working. And we got some cool stuff in the tailgate. We got some cool stuff through the week, every week and everything. We got Rusty Corn there, everything.
Rusty Corn. That reminds me, you guys ever go on Pornhub on April 1st?
Yes, actually. No. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was Cornhub. It was all corn.
They took the whole thing and made all the videos like corn stuff.
It was like heart shot corn and like I'm like, what?
How you
we don't have Glenn here to protect Joe at the moment.
Yeah.
I was just exploring. I just wanted to see what the April Fool's jokes were out there, and I was like, what is this? This is I've never been to this website.
I love it.
Oh, it was great. I saw
Glenn's going to be like.
I saw that without a lead. I went on the good old fashioned, just to see what's browsed on there. And I'm like, what the hell is all of this?
See what's new in the world of corn.
And now that everything's tied together, I know how many jokes are going to get played on April Fools for that one little kid for it's corn. As soon as Pornhub turns into Cornhub, he's going to go, it's corn.
Cornhub.
Guys, we appreciate you guys listening, watching, everything else. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Buy the Brimming Horn. It's fucking great. And Derek's going to cut me off. What do you have, Derek?
No, real quick. T-Public wanted to know where you find these shirts that Joe has, the ones that I got on. Dale wears it all the time.
They're great at hiding my nipples.
We'll have to send our co-host Travis one.
I would appreciate it. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, it's been a great night, and I can't wait till next week. We got some big guests coming on next week, and then that's the last couple episodes before our very first Bengals game. So, hoo day, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.
Hoo day.
Hoo day.
sit back with this pack of zigzags and this bag of this weed. It gives me the shit needed to be the most leanest MC on this